Shantihi. Our most revered Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj, brother monks and devotees, when I received the invitation from our revered Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj to speak here today on this auspicious occasion of the Kalpataru day, I accepted the invitation with some degree of trepidation, knowing fully well that there would be a discerning audience here who would be also well acquainted with the events in Sri Ramakrishna's life leading to the Kalpataru day celebrations. But in accepting the invitation, it was a great consolation to me that I did not have to interpret or relate those details of complexity which is to be found in Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, by Swami Saradaprabhananda. Today, my topic is how the Kalpataru Day celebration is observed in South Africa. Indians left the shore of India from two port cities, that is from Calcutta and from then Madras, and journeyed to South Africa in 1860. It is now 152 years since Indians have settled in South Africa. As the decades rolled on, these Indians in South Africa became naturalized and in a sense westernized within the South African context. During this period, we went through what is known as the apartheid rule, of which for 50 years we were virtually cut off, culturally, religiously, and even from a point of view of trade from India. Lecturers could not come to South Africa. There was a trade boycott, and we suffered many difficulties regarding religion and culture. It was during these decades that two types of festivals of the Hindus receded into the background. One is festivals pertaining to the New Years, Tamil New Year, Gujarati New Year, the Telugu New Year, and so forth. As people became westernized, these New Year's festivals went into the background, and more Indians started to celebrate with the Westerners what we call the New Year, the 1st of January. The second type of festival that went into the background was the festivals pertaining to seasons, the harvest season and many other seasons that we observe festivals for here in India. Since we live in the southern hemisphere, these seasonal festivals became irrelevant to us, and today we don't celebrate these type of seasonal festivals as well. So the New Year's celebration was all brought together, and our sentiments, our feelings are all expressed on the 1st of January, the New Year's Day. Our center in South Africa was started in 1942 by Swami Nischalaనంద. It acquired its new premises in 1959, and from 1959 to this day, every year, the Kalpataru Day celebration is observed by our devotees in South Africa. This is a great festival. The heads of our center, our spiritual leaders, from that time have been emphasizing again and again that the new year must commence with prayer. This was a slogan which they articulated repeatedly to such an extent that it has become a part of the psyche of the devotees in South Africa. On the 1st of January, about 600 devotees would gather at our center's headquarters in Durban to celebrate the Kalpataru Day celebrations. As you know, the general population in South Africa, those that are westernized, they stay up till midnight. And at midnight itself, they are in a celebratory mood, and they observe various celebrations till at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And the next day, they're virtually sleeping during the day. But our devotees have gone through this and have realized the importance of starting the new year with prayer. When our devotees gather at our ashram at about 9:30 in the morning for the prayer service, it is now of course about 7 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. We are now at 10:30 here. So soon our devotees will be gathering at 9:30, and a prayer service is held in which 600 devotees would be seated, and with due decorum they would all chant what is known as the pranam mantras, and bhajans would be sung to Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swamiji, and direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. After that, the Swami in charge would give a discourse on this event, the Kalpataru Day celebrations. There are always new devotees who want to know about it. Secondly, even the older devotees need to have these ideas reinforced in their minds for their spiritual benefit and development. On this day, we recall Sri Ramakrishna's great mood. Sri Ramakrishna had many moods, but the great mood of the Kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree, came upon him at that time at the Koshipa garden house at the invocation of Girish Chandra Ghosh. We know of God as the giver of prosperity, the giver of knowledge, as the protector of devotees. But this particular aspect of God as the Kalpataru, that is the wish fulfiller of all the devotees, this is something which is to be meditated upon, contemplated upon, because there is a psychological need in the lives of all the devotees to have a central savior who can save us under any condition, whether it is worldly anxieties or whether we have the great desire for moksha or liberation or spiritual enlightenment. This savior of ours is Sri Ramakrishna, and we contemplate upon his feelings on that day, on this Kalpataru Day. The second important thing which we emphasize in South Africa is that Sri Ramakrishna on this day or any other day can be invoked through prayer. Prayer is a powerful means of invoking God's blessings. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he constantly emphasized that prayer must be used to invoke God's blessings, invoke the Divine Mother through prayer. Not only that, great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna like Swami Brahmananda and Swami Shivananda Mahapurush also emphasized the great need for prayer as a spiritual discipline. I must relate one incident here. Once a group of us, a few years ago, went to a rural area in South Africa where we were doing the official opening of a 30-bed home for terminally ill patients, basically for AIDS patients, African patients who were going to live there with AIDS. On that day, in the formal ceremony itself for the opening, I read out a few teachings of Sri Ramakrishna regarding prayer. And the minister, that is the church minister, an African minister, the Methodist congregation who was there, about 80 years old, but very agile, very fit, he listened to these sayings of Sri Ramakrishna, and after he had uttered his prayers, and at the end of the function, he came up to me and told me, Swami, today the saying of Sri Ramakrishna that you said is something remarkable. I have been in the Christian ministry, ministering to African Methodist congregation for 60 years of my life. I know there are prayers in the Bible, but this particular utterance of Sri Ramakrishna has touched my heart very deeply. So I asked him, which one of the sayings has touched you so deeply? Then he told me, it is the saying that God can be worshipped in any way. God even hears the footfall of an ant. Something remarkable. You have never seen such profundity, such sincerity articulated in such simple language by Sri Ramakrishna. This touched this African congregation to such an extent that we were forced to print this saying alone of Sri Ramakrishna in English and isiZulu, the local language, and distribute it by the thousands to them. They put it up in their homes. It became an enrichment to the Christian congregation, African Christian congregation. So prayer is something which Sri Ramakrishna taught us properly to express our spiritual feelings through prayer. And the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna on prayer, they may be very simple, but I found them to be extremely profound. The third point which we emphasize on this Kalpataru day is that, coming from Girish's life itself and Girish's utterances, is that Sri Ramakrishna is an ocean, infinite ocean of mercy. Whether it is through prayer or no prayer, whether we are fit for His grace or not fit for His grace, if He decides to give us His grace, fit or unfit, it would descend upon us. His grace is infinite, it is also unpredictable and can descend upon anybody even if they do not pray at all. Such is the wonderful nature of Sri Ramakrishna's grace. On an occasion like this, on the Kalpataru day, it has lent meaning to our prayer. Now, after these messages given to our devotees in South Africa, in some way or the other, backed up also by earlier scriptures, Vedas, Puranas, Itihasas, etc., we then have more singing, and the arati, full arati is performed to Sri Ramakrishna, and all the devotees then go to meet the head of the center, the Swami, to pay their respects to him, and prasad is offered to all 600 devotees, and they go home during this period. Devotees, of course, also dedicate some part of the day for quiet sadhana and japa in their own homes, where in hundreds of homes in South Africa, their room is set aside for a small shrine for Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and Swami Vivekananda. I must say, coming to Chennai is a spiritually exhilarating experience to me. Being in the company of our revered Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj, our brother monks, and very importantly, the rich spiritual ambience of this temple, it is something which the people of Madras should really cherish in the heart. You cannot get this in Western countries. The spiritual feelings, the vibrancy left behind by our great Swami Ramakrishna Nanda, it is something which we come here for, and the days we spent here, we taste this, cherish it, and carry back with us the memories of this great mutt, this great spiritual institution. This is not an ancient temple like other ancient temples. It is relatively a modern temple from the time Swami Ramakrishna Nanda came here. But because of the spiritual discipline maintained here, monks living here, the meticulous manner in which the pujas are done here, this has developed into one of the most vibrant spiritual centers in South India. This is something remarkable, and I come here repeatedly on pilgrimage to draw inspiration from this atmosphere. And our revered Swami Gautamananda Ji has also come to South Africa, where we have very fond memories of his coming, mingling with our devotees, giving us his spiritual counsel, blessing us and leaving us with great ideas. All these memories are etched in our heart, and we shall cherish it forever. On this occasion, I pay my humble respects to our revered Swami Gautamananda Ji, our brother monks, the devotees here, and may Sri Ramakrishna bless us with a rewarding Kalpataru day and a new year. Thank you.